Thank you for joining us for the Advancing Oceanside podcast, brought to you by the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. The Advancing Oceanside podcast hosts business and community leaders from all industries to help inform, better educate, and ultimately advocate for a prosperous economic climate here in Oceanside.
And when we define Black-owned, hopefully in the future, it comes with excellence, and it comes with pride and dignity and artistry that I believe a lot of Black entrepreneurs have.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of the Advancing Oceanside podcast. My name is Hannah Gilbert, and today we have a very special guest with us in honor of Black History Month, Quantal Langford of Langfordesign. Welcome. How you doing, Quantal?
Doing good, Hannah. Doing good.
Good. Well, I'm very happy to have you today. I'm happy to hear what you have to say. Talk to us a little bit about graphic design, about what you do. I'm happy to hear everything. So let's get started. If you want to just give us a little quick background about yourself, why you started Langfordesign, how you started, all that good stuff.
Quick story. I am originally from Southeast Tennessee, from a small town called Cleveland, Tennessee. So from the South. As far as graphic design, I've always sort of been in that art space. Personally, for me, I've literally been drawing since probably since kindergarten. My grandmother, my mom, they had like my first drawings. And it sort of just evolved from there. I've always been creating. My mom was a real great advocate for allowing me to express my artwork. From high school, going into college, I ended up taking advanced art and then went into graphic design from there. After graduating in graphic design, I ended up I was personally, for me, I was sort of content with looking for a job and finding something that was consistent and just at least being in the design field in some aspect. What they don't tell you at school is that you may or may not get a job in what
Right.
you graduated in. But I've been doing a lot of I was doing some freelance projects and things on the side while I was just sort of working. I was working just a regular job, and I just got to the point where my freelance work started picking up more, and sort of just made the decision just to go ahead and start my own business. I've always sort of been entrepreneurial. Yeah, I think that's sort of been at the core of me. I've always been like that since I was little, and yeah, honestly, I just made the jump. Probably in hindsight, there was probably some things. Going back now, I probably would have changed, but I'm glad that I at least had the courage to be able to go out and pursue it, and from there be able to connect with just a wide, diverse range of people. And I think that sort of helped me out as far as what I do is being able to connect to different people, different industries, different arenas, and be able to use my skill sets, my talents, and my entrepreneurial skills to sort of build a business around what I'm good at. So, and that's something that even now, and still building it up now, but even now, I find myself sort of inspiring other creatives to sort of figure out what they're good at, and sort of building a business around their skills and being successful with it. So I think that's right now. That's what's really pushed me right now. But with Langfordesign, it's a multidisciplinary design studio, and I help organizations, teams, companies, entrepreneurs, as far as creating a professional, a visual identity, brand identity, and so including with that, it does include with marketing, and you have a whole spectrum of other services too. But I find myself more focused towards brand identities, logo design, apparel, illustration, content creation, things of that nature. So yeah, that's what Langford Design is. So I've been doing it for about 12 plus years now, and had I've had my ups and downs, but it's something where I'm very fortunate, very blessed to be able to still do it, and even transitioning from Tennessee to California and jumping into a whole completely different environment.
Mhm,
Definitely was a little scary at first,
mhm.
but I really feel like if I didn't make that jump now with Langford Design and even sprouting out to the Creative Brew and some of the other things that I've got going, I don't think, honestly, I don't think that would even happen if I hadn't taken the leap to come out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you already start Langford Design when you were back in Tennessee?
Yeah,
Or was it something that you started when you came to California?
yeah. I've already started. I'd already started it. So by the time I left and come out here, I already had a client base
Okay.
off the East Coast. So even now, I still and I talked to all of them before I made that move.
Mhm.
I was fine with it. So even now with just technology, I can work from anywhere
Mhm.
I want to, and it's one of those where I've created relationships
Mhm.
uh, along the way to where they trust me,
Yeah.
and they know that if there's a project that needs to be done, it's going to be done on time. Sometimes it's going to be quick turnarounds.
Right.
Um, and they know it's gonna, look great, and give them the results that they're looking for. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'd already had a client base before I'd gotten out here. So, and even now, I still work with a lot of people on the Midwest and East Coast right now. So,
Okay.
definitely now starting to um, get the name out a little bit more out here, which I'm really planning on doing that a little bit more. But
Mhm.
I find myself, you know, marketing my brand through my podcast, which is sort of
Yeah.
odd, but yeah, it's one of those weird things. Like people sort of connect me with the podcast, and then
Mhm.
like, oh, you do design work too, and yeah, yes, I do.
It means your podcast is doing its job there. Well, that's awesome. How I know you touched on a little bit of how you help your clients and what you do for them. I was also just wondering how you were able to expand your client base. I know you started in Tennessee, but then you mentioned you have clients all the way on the East Coast. How are you able to get the word out about your small business, across the nation?
Yeah, it's sort of weird. It's one of those where I am I think one of my superpowers is just being a connector,
Mhm,
and I can connect the dots to anything. And it's one of those where even with a lot of the people that I've sort of created relationships with, and sort of turned into clients, it's been a mix of different things. It's been from obviously family and friends, but it's grown out to I happen to know someone that's at a university. I do great work for them. Someone else sees it, and then they reach out to me. I'm always in sports, so it's one of those where a lot of coaches, a lot of gyms end up reaching out to me because I've worked out somewhere or I trained with someone, and
mhm.
they happen to need branding services for their design for their gym or for their business they have, and so I find myself sort of in that little weird little mix to where I work with just a whole spectrum of people, and a lot of people, um, they're always asking, hey, who's a good graphic designer, or I need someone to sort of, I'm starting a business, and I think that's what happened last year. Is like a lot of people came to the realization that their job can be cut like that, and a lot of them started trying to create side gigs and new businesses. And so, yeah, a lot of people started reaching out to me like, "Hey, I've got a new business. I'd like to get started. What do I need to do?" Um, and so, yeah, it's been a mix of that. And then I'm obviously I'm always pushing out a lot of stuff through social media.
Mhm.
Uh, even through from Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and yeah, so it's just a mix of stuff. It can be some process videos of my work, or it could be something inspirational, or it could be something highlighting another entrepreneur through the podcast. So it's just been just a wide mix of different things.
Okay.
So even with one example is, I brought someone on to my podcast, and he's in the Dallas area. They have a coffee brand,
Mhm.
and we sort of developed a relationship online.
Yeah.
got connected with the podcast, brought them on, and now I do branding work for him.
Wow.
And I'm actually talking to his wife's class
Mhm.
Friday through Zoom about about what I do.
Yeah.
So it's like little things like that. It's just built off of just relationship capital. That's what I believe in. So
Awesome. Okay. Well, I love that background. And I think you hit on so many important topics, especially for people who are starting a small business or starting a business of their own. Is that, you have to have that drive and that hustle and that go get 'em attitude. And then also, I think your overall entrepreneurial spirit is what has made you so successful. So I applaud you for having all of those traits and for taking the leap because I know fresh out of college, it's hard. And sometimes you may be stuck thinking, I don't know if this is what I want to do. I don't know if I love it. So I think taking that leap to do what you love is the most important thing. So congratulations on all the success before we get more into the interview.
okay.
Now that we've heard, a little bit about you and your background story and what you do, I want to shift over a little bit more into discussing Black history, and more importantly, the significance you think that Black History Month holds.
Yeah, great question. I think with Black History, I think it's something that's definitely needs to be learned. It's one of those to where I try to not to say I don't. It's sort of amazing. I sort of find myself. It's sort of weird, like what they taught us in school with Black History, as opposed to once you go out and you start learning history for your own. And one interesting tidbit is, I read a lot of different books, and one book it was sort of geared towards creatives, and it was a story about a group of black artists in Florida, and they were called the Florida Highwaymen. Never knew about them,
Mhm,
and pretty much the story was, it was I think it was the civil. I want to think it was the civil. No, it was the '60s,
mhm,
but it was around the time where these artists they were going around trying to sell their artwork. Obviously, nothing wouldn't work, and they finally hatched a plan. Like they came together as a group, and they started. I think they started creating paintings from like it was like from the pre-Civil War era.
mhm.
It was pretty much stuff that was, I guess, trendy around that time that people loved in their houses,
Mhm,
and started selling like hotcakes.
mhm.
Uh, Now, take in mind, this was in the '60s,
Yeah,
where even with black artists, I mean, it was sort of taboo for something like this. I've never even heard of this group until I read this book. And it was sort of amazing that, just when you start searching out knowledge for yourself, you realize all the amazing things that black artists, creators, musicians, um, people in theater, politicians, leaders that they've done great work that a lot of people just don't know about.
mhm.
And I think now, slowly but surely, especially in mainstream media, they're doing little things to um, put little seeds in various things. Just for a quick example, even with HBO, The Watchmen. I'm a big comic book nerd, and they actually talked about the Tulsa Massacre, and it was pretty much talked about Black Wall Street, and you had this one little center of well-to-do Black Americans around a time where a lot of people was struggling, and they pretty much hatched a plot to pretty much massacre everyone
Mhm.
in that area. I never knew none of this existed
Right.
until I heard about this on the show, and then I started researching it myself.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing, just the what Black history. It's just a wealth of history, and just a crazy diversity of talent that I think now that people are starting to learn, and I really feel like we always need to remember where we came from so we can trend, so we can go forward. And like I said, if we don't learn our history and if we're not aware of the things that people have done before us, then we can be doomed to repeat the past.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned the Tulsa massacre because I actually live in Tulsa now and I had no idea about it prior to moving here. And just this month I've had so much more education on the entire incident, learn so much more than before. So I feel like sometimes when you step outside of what you're taught in school, it can just expand your knowledge of everything else that's out there, and inspire and teach and educate in so many different ways than just simply what you teach in school. So I like that you highlighted that and that importance and the significance in that.
Yeah.
um, so what you had just spoke about, this kind of flows into my next question: is what are some of your favorite figures, either unknown or known, that you can relate to throughout Black history?
Yeah, I think there's sort of a wealth of them right now. Honestly, there's a few of them. I've always loved, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. I always loved them, but one that I've been doing a lot of reading on, personally, and something that even when I'm doing the podcast, and I think I try to give out. I felt, I try my best to give out a lot of motivation and inspiration. But there's one that I always come back to and I always read, and I actually read it. I try to read it every night before I go to sleep. Is He was actually an advisor to Martin Luther King, and his name was Dr. Howard Thurman, and he was a really big, he was. I mean, he was a pastor, but he was more of a. He was sort of he wasn't really mainstream. He was in Christianity, but he was sort of like a Christian mystic, sort of. It is weird, but he was an advisor to Martin Luther King,
Hmm.
and the book I've got an ebook that I read, but he talks so much about inspiration and about dreams and about struggle and just being sort of spiritually being having those structures, having those foundations,
Hmm.
uh, allowing dreams to get to where first it becomes a you know it's something that you think about, and then with dreams it ends up becoming an establishment, then it becomes a part of you, and it's something that is pretty amazing works, and this is someone from the 60s, and
Hmm.
so that's something I always try to read, and I'm still amazed even from this. Even now I'm still amazed by his work, and with me when I'm doing writing and things like that, I'm like, man, I would want something that stands the test of time like that. So it's just that's someone that I really feel like is a part of me now, and something that I try to share even when I'm on the podcast, or even if I'm doing training with some of my athletes that I do. I'm always trying to share that knowledge, and try to share it in a way to where maybe I share it in a story to where it connects with them and makes sense for them. But that's honestly that's someone that I feel is connected to me um, through Black history.
Right, right. And to be able to learn all about that through reading and through, like you said, expanding beyond past what you're just shown in school, you were able to obviously find someone that you directly related to. And I think that is an encouraging part of reading as well, by promote reading. So there really hasn't been a lot of great representation of Black designers in the design community overall. How has that affected you as someone who has his own design business and has been in the industry for a number of years?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, it's sort of, you get some pros and cons.
Mhm,
I am, I'm not gonna give out like any kind of like just stats, but
mhm.
the the discrepancy between minority designers and just white designers in general, even with women included, it's just it's a big discrepancy, and I think that as far as in um, with black designers in general and in our industry, I think there's a lot of talented people that's not getting a chance.
Mhm.
Um, I think honestly, for me, I know personally, I felt like I've gotten passed up a few times just with my
Right.
name alone, and so it's just one of those to where it's sometimes it's been a struggle. Sometimes it's like, am I ever, I'm wanting to reach out to someone, and I may or may not ever get that connection, uh,
Mhm.
just because perhaps they can't pronounce my name, or my
Yeah.
skin color, or anything like that. Now, and that, and like I said, I'm aware of that. I think now it's just sort of coming with the confidence of really knowing who I am, and knowing that I've got certain niches that I work with that I love. I'm not going to be for everyone, but for the people that I do work with, they, like I said, enjoy the work. They love the work, and that's who I'm there for.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a time where I felt like it's just like I'm putting my resumes out there, and I'm just hearing chirps,
Yeah.
and it can be sort of demoralizing, where you feel like you get out of school and you feel like, hey, I graduated, I'm supposed to get a job, and that's something that I definitely want to tell a lot of people sort of getting out. Maybe they're graduating and they're expecting a job, and that's not necessarily the case.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of black designers. And I think in that aspect, I think, being more entrepreneurial and figuring out ways to create your own opportunities, that is something now that I have been doing for myself, and that I want to teach others, is
Mhm.
figure out ways to create your own opportunities. If you, no, like I said, if you can't find a job, per se, figure out, okay, what do you love to do, and
Yeah.
then create something around that and market yourself towards that. So if you love if you love music, figure out ways just to, be in that music industry, be the designer for that music industry or for
Yeah.
that genre. If you love comics, be that person. If you love sports, be that person. So I think in as far as for me, I love being in the sports industry, and that's something that I enjoy, and
Mhm.
so I want to be that person that's in the sports arena, or in the school or universities. They know that, hey, we're looking to rebrand our whole university. Who do we talk to? And a lot of times my name pops up, and so it's just something where I'm not gonna be for everyone, but for that small niche, I can be everything to them. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you touched on earlier, just talking about the entrepreneurial spirit, and I think that has really probably helped you overcome those initial, the initial crickets and the initial no's and such, and then create great work that now essentially speaks for itself. So I think that's a important message, is if you're passionate about it and you work hard, it's going to come. It may not be immediate, but you'll get there, and then you'll do something that you love, no matter what. So I love that message that you're sharing.
yeah.
Um, sometimes there's also a stigma around Black-owned businesses in society. What does that mean to you, and how do you define Black-owned specifically?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it could be a stigma, as far as feeling like, I think sometimes people equate black owned to maybe being a lesser version of another business,
Mhm.
and like I said, and that's just off of perception. Um, and there's, like I said, it's been a lot of kickback with that. I think it's
Yeah.
one of those where you know sometimes I'll give a quick example. Sometimes a lot of people can say, "Hey, look, we're a black-owned business," and I'm going to be honest. A lot of times, many of the people that support black-owned businesses sometimes aren't even the black people within that community. So,
I know
and
that.
it's bad, but I mean, and that's sometimes this is how it is. I mean, I think it's just one of those where I think sooner or later, and I think with that, you know, I feel like sooner or later, I think if we, um, do our best to sort of support black-owned businesses within our community, even as a black citizen,
Yeah.
uh, and helping these businesses thrive and be successful. I think that stigma could be switched.
Yeah.
You know what? It can be all kinds of things that sort of equate to why black-owned businesses aren't supported within their own community for some odd reason. Like I said, you can look at all kinds of other demographics and races, and a lot of their businesses, their community help support it.
Mhm.
And I think we're the only one, I believe, that doesn't even really support our own businesses. And like I said, there could be all kinds of reasoning behind that, and that could be for another episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think now we have to figure out ways to sort of get out get out of our own self and figure out ways to just support these black owned businesses. And like I said, they started with a dream, and
Mhm.
figure out, okay, how do I support them with their dream? How can I invest? And even if it's just giving shout outs on social media, or even if it's coming in and actually purchasing something, I have to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I can, if I can go out and sort of be that movement or that change, to be like, okay, I'm going to support them, I'm going to invest in them, um, and I want to see them succeed. I think other people may follow. I think sometimes, a lot of people, they start their own business, and you sort of get chirped sometimes, and
Yeah.
a lot of times it's people from outside outside your race that's the ones that's supporting it, which
Right.
it's just one of those. Sometimes that's how it is. But I think sooner or later we're going to have to figure out ways to sort of make that change. And when we define black owned,
Mhm.
hopefully in the future it comes with excellence, and it comes
Yeah.
with pride and dignity, and you know artistry that I believe a lot of black entrepreneurs have. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just curious, do you think that stigma has been associated with your business as well? I know you may have mentioned this earlier, but I'm just curious, and if that stigma may have been, you may have seen it in your hometown as well. I'm not sure.
yeah, it's sort of you know what, that's a good question. It's sort of weird. Um, trying to figure out how the best to answer this, but
Yeah.
it's one of those where, especially where I was at, it's a real tight knit community.
Hmm.
Um, I've always sort of been, just part of that community for pretty much most of my life, either through sports or through civil work, or through my business.
Yeah.
And I think building those relationships and creating friendships, I think it got to where it was, personally for me, it
Yeah.
got to where it was past being black owned. I think now I can talk to anyone
Yeah.
and pitch my ideal and not really be concerned with, um, am I black or white or whatnot. Now earlier, yes, I really felt like, okay, I'm putting out my resumes, I'm not, no one's reaching back, or they may pass on me. Now, if I'm at the point to where, okay, look, I'm looking to create my own opportunities. I'm not looking to reach out to anybody. Um, if I do reach out to you, it's because, like I said, I really feel like I can use my services to sort of help your business.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking at black or white.
Hmm.
I'm looking at, if is my services, I mean, can I give you the results that you're looking for?
Hmm.
Uh, if that's the case, then hey, by all means, let's work together. If I'm
Yeah.
not the one, then yeah, there's other people, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
now I think, honestly, coming with that confidence and coming with that knowing for me, that and yeah, I do work with other black entrepreneurs too. So there's people that start their own businesses, and a lot of them, I tend to for some odd reason, I know a little about a lot. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of black owned businesses. There's things that, people aren't aware of. So when they're trying to start out, hey, how do I copyright my logo? Or, hey, how do I need to set up an LLC, or am I a sole proprietor?
Hmm.
All this stuff I've done over a gamut of, 12 plus years,
Hmm.
that a lot of people, a lot of, especially black owned businesses, people that's starting, they don't have that knowledge.
Right.
And so now I feel like I'm willing, like I love to teach. I will give you all everything that I've done, everything that I've messed up on,
Yeah.
and hopefully you can go the right direction that's best for you. But yeah, I think within our community it tends to be, just pushback. They feel like, okay, someone is asking you, for advice, and a lot of sometimes some businesses, they may not, they may not be willing to give that advice, and they may feel like, okay, we got competition, I'm not going to give anything to you. um I'm not like that. I don't, honestly, I don't care.
Right.
I want to be able to share information and promote others. Obviously, I know what I'm good at, and I
Yeah.
think with that confidence and knowing, I think I tend to get projects just coming to me because I don't put that out.
Right.
I want to be someone that wants to help others, and I think now I know what I'm good at. I know what my niche is. I
Mhm.
know how I market myself, and I'm right now I'm fine with that. Obviously, I am pivoting towards some other things,
Yeah.
but I think now I just see myself as yes, I am black owned, but I
Mhm.
do see myself as a company, a business that can help any client that I work with, regardless of my skin color.
Right. And produce great work. So I think that authenticity message is extremely important too, saying, I'm here, I love what I do, I know I'm good at it. And if you don't want to work with me, you can work with, somebody else who may better suit your needs, and I'll do the same. So I
And what happens, and usually what happens is that I'll initially talk to them. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna go a different direction. Something happens, and then they have to rebrand because they don't like the look of their logo or how it turned out.
right.
And then you get paid, then you get charged more because now you're coming to me again
Yeah.
when initially we could have been talking. So it's happened a few times. And
Mhm.
so it's just one of those where, sometimes, just off of initial, yeah, I may not be the one for you. Look around. Heck, I'd be glad to give you referrals. And sometimes, I mean, I think a lot of times, I mean, honestly, I feel like there's probably some better designers than me. But I think for me, I am real big on relationships.
Yeah.
I'm real big on trust, and it's one of those where I think people just feel they feel calm around me, and they
Mhm.
feel like, okay, we know this is gonna be done. It's gonna be done on time. It's gonna be done right. It's gonna look great. They have no worries. And I think that's what happens. And I think sometimes that could be the stigma that a lot of times when people are looking for a logo designer, they're looking for some kind of branding, and um, and I see it on Facebook all the time. You'll get like they'll say, "Hey, would you recommend a designer?" I get tagged all the time in Facebook, and you see 10,000 comments with people saying, "Hey, here's my website. Go to this," and I don't do that. It's
Yeah.
one of those where I tell the person whoever tagged me, I say, "Hey, look, thank you for the word of mouth, appreciate it." Um, but like I said, if you're looking for someone, you'll know how to find me. I put out
Right.
enough stuff to know if
Right.
you're if you're looking, if you're really needing it, then you'll find me. So
Right, you'll come up. Yeah, absolutely. I love that message. And going off of the stigma, I know I kind of surprised you, caught you off guard with that question, but my last interview with Bliss Tea and Treat, she had actually said, which is exactly what you hit on, was that when her window was shot out, it was because the person had said that they didn't believe the business, which is her tea room, was Black owned. They just didn't believe it. So I think changing that message, and like you said, Black owned means excellence, and it's something to take pride in and be proud of, is really important. And I think moving forward, that's something that we need to focus on. And I also want to highlight the fact that you said, I'm not a Black business, I'm just a business owner. I love what I do. I'm a graphic designer, and I'm good at it. So I think that's also a really important message to share. And I love the confidence and the authenticity in that.
oh yeah, man, that took years of of doubt and anxiety.
I believe it. I believe it wasn't overnight. I promise.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is something that even building, yeah, and actually now sort of pivoting towards a whole media company now with the podcast and
Yeah,
the design company and building the lifestyle wear brand. Among other things, but this is something that I want to be able to pass to my kids and to my grandkids, and be like, hey, look, this is something that I built, and you have the same opportunity to do it if you
mhm,
pursue it. And so it's just one of those where this is definitely something that I plan on sort of passing along, and something to where I'm trying to build something that's going to outlast me.
yeah,
And I think that's for being a black owned business. That's something that I want to be able to do.
yeah,
What happens is you have a lot of black owned business. They start and probably within 5 years they're already done.
Mhm.
It's just something to where I've just learned to grit it out and persevere and just be consistent. Like I said, and that's something that I talk about on my podcast is that I'm not looking to be 100% all the time. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
What I want to do is if I can hit around 85%. So if my work wise, client wise, if I can stay consistent throughout the years, then I think once you see the whole gamut of all the work and everything that I've done, then like I said, I feel like it's going to be worth it. Now it's going to be opportunities to be like, hey, look, I'm just going to nail it right on the head, and they're going to love it. But sometimes, I get losses sometimes too. So it's just one of those where I will celebrate my little wins.
Yeah.
And with the losses, I learn from it, and I figure out, okay, how can I get a little bit better? And I think that's something that I want to be able to show my family, show my kids, show my grandkids that, hey, look, this is I want to be seen as someone that went out and created their own thing, created their own opportunities, and and had fun doing it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that everything you just said kind of leads nicely into our next question, which is just what would you want to share with any aspiring Black creators or entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting their own business or want to get into the design industry because they do have a passion for it and they do have a talent?
yes, for anyone, figure out first of all, be patient.
Yeah.
Um, that's probably one of the biggest things is just patience. Don't feel like, hey, I want to get 10,000 followers on Instagram in a month. That's not going to happen. I want to have, X amount of money coming in, a year. Not to say that could happen, but
Hmm.
uh, don't don't be surprised if it's still, like I said, you're still struggling after the first year or so.
Right.
Just be patient. Keep
Right.
working on your craft. Learn how to sell yourself. Learn to build the mental fortitude to celebrate your wins, keep
Mhm.
going, and every loss is a learning experience. So I think that's something that I would definitely tell anyone. If you love it, you'll keep going.
Right.
Um, and like I said, I think sometimes people start a business because hey, it's the trendy thing to do. I got to the point to where I've always seen myself as being my own boss anyway. It
Mhm.
would probably drive me crazy if I was working for someone else.
Right.
Just with all the things that I do on a given day and all the things that I love to do, I just feel like sitting at a cubicle 9 to 5, it would drive me crazy. And so I think now I know, like I said, I know who I am, and I know that I know this as far as my skill sets, what I'm able to offer, and
Mhm.
so yeah, patience, just uh, yeah, I said patience and just having that grit, persevering, and just be creative. I mean, I think that's really the some of the biggest things I could probably share. Figure out ways to be resourceful, be creative,
Yeah.
and you just keep going one step forward.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that overall message. I love everything that you shared throughout these few questions. And then lastly, I just want to give you the opportunity to share your website, share, your podcast or any other contact information or areas that people can reach you at.
Yeah. For anything, if you want to reach out to me, you can connect with me on Instagram at Quantal Langford. It's QUANTAL, LANGFORD. I get so many misspellings of my name, it's crazy. But yeah, you contact me on Instagram, shoot me a DM. If you, I said, I talk to all kinds of creators all the time with people that they're having some kind of question, if they're
Yeah.
ideals on their artwork or trying to reach out to a specific organization to market themselves. I get questions all the time. So shoot me a DM. I'll be happy to talk to you for any kind of design work, speaking opportunities,
Mhm.
anything like that. You can connect with me on Instagram at the Langford Studio, or you can go to my website at langforddesign.com. And then if you want to check out the website, you can check out The Creative Brew. And that is also on Instagram at thecreativebrew.tv. And then you can go on Facebook and look up The Creative Brew TV, and you should be able to find it. So I've got a lot of the videos up on there. The podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and then I am on a internet radio station every Tuesday on heliumradio.com. And that's every Tuesday. I either have a rerun on the episodes, or I got a new episode that pops up every Tuesday. So
Okay. Well, awesome. I will, obviously, when I post this, I'll have all the links on there so people can easily check you out and hopefully connect with you, or just simply learn something from you. I think you're a great mentor. And it's clear that you're working towards something that's much bigger than you, but doing your part in sharing the overall message. I love the authenticity and the confidence, and I applaud you for working so hard at your craft and being so good at it. And it's something that you've inspired me to go out and and do just as you are. And I appreciate you joining me today and taking the time out of your day. And I hope to see you around. And everybody, check out his podcast, check out his social media. Quantal does some great work, so you definitely will be just as impressed as I am. But I will talk to you soon, Quantal. And again, thank you so much for today.
all right, thank you, Hannah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Advancing Oceanside podcast, brought to you by the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. Continue with us on our journey to help inform, better educate, and ultimately advocate for Oceanside. You can view all of our other podcasts on any podcast listening locations, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or visit our YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to catch all the latest updates on all things Oceanside. Join us next week as we host another influential leader from our community.